it's not about how much money you're making, but it's about the value you bring to other people in service to others. How can you help them? How can you help them to lift themselves up and transition out of where they are into something that's much more powerful and feels so much better and allows them to live their life really of freedom?
Imagine all the people.
Hi everyone, Elle Ballard is here today with my guest Clara E. Minor. Hi Clara,
Hi,
welcome.
Al. How are you?
Doing great, thank you. I'm excited for this conversation today. So Clara E. Minor's specialty is helping women empower themselves to feel great about their bodies, be feeling fantastic in their bodies, have the ability to make their own choices through the physical body, thereby giving them their own freedom back. Specifically focused on empowerment through fitness classes, self-defense classes, and workshops. A master instructor trainer at Minor-san Self-Defense and Fitness, she received her certification to teach the system of Lima Lama Arts of Self-Defense by Mr. Tino Tuilo Senga, Grandmaster and founder of Lima Lama Arts of Self-Defense. Now she's focusing on women's empowerment through her Fighter Feet Empowerment program. Beautiful. Welcome, Clara.
Glad to be here.
Talking about your beautiful business. How did it all start?
Years ago, decades ago by now, I met somebody who was into the martial arts, and that individual ended up being my partner for quite a few years and got me into the martial arts. And when I first started martial arts training, I thought it was just something fun to do. And then as I continued it, I went, wow, this kind of feels really good, because I was starting to feel it in my body and what my body was capable of doing. And really, I was learning to fight. We had never learned to fight growing up, four girls, and the youngest was our brother. None of us knew how to fight. We knew how to bully and tease him, but we didn't physically fight. So I really got into this whole other realm of, wow, this is something new I would have thought of doing. And so I got involved in the whole world of martial arts and Bruce Lee and the Kung Fu series and all the things that were around at that time. And that's how I got into it in the first place.
Beautiful. And now you have been building, you mentioned decades, and I think you said 39.5 years, right? You have your business.
I've had it for 39 and a half years in Santa Cruz.
Amazing, amazing. So I can imagine of course, it's a journey. There are so many lessons during probably the period of you building this business. Can you share some of the main lessons that you learned in going through this journey?
One of the big ones was that martial arts is traditionally male. So you're going to have a lot of male-oriented thinking, a lot of male-oriented attitudes. And there was
Mhm.
this hierarchy that lives in
Mhm.
the martial arts, and it's still very prevalent today in a lot of the traditional schools. And I ended up saying, I was very traditional for a long time. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Doing all the things, following the protocol. This is how it's done. We always do it this way, never veering from that. And then over the years, realized, especially when I went solo with the business in 2010. So it's been 14 years that I've been doing it solo, that
Mm,
I didn't have to listen to any man.
yeah.
Have to do what any man told me to do. My teacher, a year later, passed on, and he had already had a stroke and was not able to talk anyway,
Hmm.
teach. And so I just really realized, I can make this my own thing. But it took me years to finally get to the point where I wanted to hone in on women only. For being in a partner business with male, female, we brought in males, females, children, teens, and all the populations. And over time, I realized, this isn't working anymore, because it was
Hmm.
me. It wasn't me and him. And he brought in a lot of the male energy, which I kind of didn't want anymore. So I just,
Yeah.
okay, I'm just going to focus really on women. I'm tired of men who challenge me, because I would always live up to the challenge and I would always show them up and they would always go, oh my God. But I didn't need that anymore. I don't want to do that anymore. I really wanted to just focus on women who wanted to get trained in self-defense, learning how to fight, because when you physically can fight, it's so much easier to speak your mind because you've
Mm-hmm.
got this knowing and this knowledge in your body that
Mm,
says, stand up, speak up, and I know I can knock you out if you try to hurt me. And knowing that, it helps you to speak up even when there's pressure from others to
mm-hmm.
speak your mind and stand your ground.
Yeah, yeah, beautiful. So, how early does, this self-defense for women, for girls, I think you do that too for teens as well. When do you recommend if someone wanted to bring their kids, for example?
I do workshops for all ages, so I could do little kids. Generally, little kids are around their parents a lot, so they're not as vulnerable as teens are. Teens are
Mm-hmm.
out on their own on the streets. They're going to
Mm-hmm.
coffee shops. They're walking home from school. They're going to the mall. They're by themselves. They don't want to be with their parents. That makes
Yeah.
them more vulnerable because there are a lot of sexual predators out there and a lot of sex traffickers out there. So the teens are my focus. I hold regular workshops for teens and women throughout the year. And then other groups, specialty groups, contact me when they say, I've got a 4 and 5 year olds, or I've got 8, 9, and 10-year-old kids, girls. We need all the parents want self-defense. So we form a group. They come and I teach just that group. So I do specialty groups. I do special needs groups. I do
Mm-hmm.
lots of different diverse types of groups of people. So I still teach men if they happen to be in that group.
Yeah.
Just that my focus for my regular program is women and girls.
Yeah, awesome. I see. So I know you have a physical location that you had for years, and then you also do online. Is that correct?
I
Or are you
offer
starting?
I offer online classes. I offer Zoom classes whenever I'm teaching. Almost every class has a Zoom component. So people can log in from
Nice. Mm-hmm.
Timbuktu, Kansas, wherever, as long as they have internet access and an account with me, then they can take the class right from their living room. If
Mm-hmm.
they get the equipment, then that's a little bit better. They don't have to have equipment. I have people with no equipment that still do my kickboxing classes. And
Mm-hmm.
then I am working on a course. I am right now working on an online course that will have different components, different levels to help women wherever they are in their journey to empower themselves.
Yeah, awesome. I love that. So, how can our listeners find you? What is the website? And I know we will post website in the comments of the video and the recording, the podcast recording.
The website is minorsan.com. That's minorsan.com. And
Mhm.
they can find everything they need to know about me and about the schedule on there. And if they're interested, they can just click to get more information. I'll get the first name, last name, email, and phone number and contact them via phone first that day or the very next day and connect that way and see if people are a good fit for me. There's no pressure, there's no obligation, nothing like that. I just want to see if are you a good fit for what I do? Is this really going to help you?
Right. So it's like a introductory conversation that you're
It
having
is
with them.
it's about 10-minute
Yeah, 10
conversation
minutes conversation.
and then sometimes we can go into a Zoom later on, a 30-minute Zoom and really dig into what's going on for women.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
then they choose appropriately depending on what comes out of that conversation, whether they feel like they want to start the physical intro program with me and do
Yeah.
the 3 classes and they get their gloves and wraps with that and a 30-minute one-on-one visual on their form. So I offer them that
Mm-hmm.
with the intro program.
Beautiful, beautiful. I don't think I knew all those details, so thank you for covering that. That's awesome. And so, of course, we are on the Empowered Global Women in Business podcast. And the question that I'd like to ask is, what does it mean for you to be an empowered global woman in business?
I didn't used to love. I love now that I'm a woman of color. I love that I have Italian blood and Mexican blood in my body, in my system, in my being. And I connect with women of color wherever they're coming from. We know we're different. We know that we're not the same as white women in that we don't have the same privileges. We're not seen the same. And since we're not seen as the same, we've had things that we've had to deal with growing up. I was called names when I was a kid because my skin was brown in a school, just a sea of white faces. And there were very few Mexicans, probably maybe 20 at the most,
Mm-hmm.
25 out of hundreds and hundreds of kids.
Mm,
So what we wanted to do was blend in. I wanted to blend in. And I did my best to try to be as white as I could, knowing that I'd never have blonde hair and blue eyes. So I'd pretend as children,
yeah.
get the petticoats and want to be blonde hair and blue eyed. And growing up with the whole marketing thing that was on TV ads was that too, that you want to have blonde hair. You want to be blonde. And that was really ingrained in a powerful
Mm,
way. So I had to get over that. And I didn't start speaking Spanish again until I purchased the business. So in
mm.
1985, I started speaking Spanish because Spanish speakers were coming in to the studio and they would look at me and they'd go, ¿Hablas español? And I'd go, sí, sí, un poquito, un poquito. So I really had to learn and bring it back up. And then we had some black belts from Spain come over to train with us and our teacher, and they were all Spanish speakers. So I had to really up my game there and get my Spanish back because I'd only spoke it when I was a little girl, not yet in school, so up to 5 years
Mm-hmm.
old. And that was being an empowered woman of color now and connecting with all the women, especially through your whole organization. It is so wonderful to connect with women and realize that we're really all kind of the same.
Yeah.
We really are. We all have the very similar needs, very similar wants, very similar fears, all of the things
Yep.
that we all go through, especially as business owners, because so many women are shy. They don't want to speak up. They're afraid that they're just not good enough to
Mm,
speak up and give everybody their opinion. It's not good enough. That opinion is like, well, who are you? You're not on the stage with Tony Robbins or Sage Levine or Brandon Burchard. Those are the biggies, and you're not going to be speaking on a stage with them. So what right do you have to even give your opinion? And I know that that is running in the back of a lot of people's minds. And it's taken me a while. I had that same mindset. Not good enough. I'm not
mm-hmm.
yet. I'm not the biggie. Why? Because I wasn't making a million, billion, gazillion dollars. And I realized that's not it. It's not about how much money you're making, but it's about the value you bring to other people in service to others. How can you help them? How can you help them to lift themselves up and transition out of where they are into something that's much more powerful and feels so much better and allows them to live their life really of freedom? And
Yeah.
that's where my work comes from is I could get on a stage and speak just as good as anybody else can. And yes,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying I'm the perfect public speaker. However, I could do a presentation as I did with at your event. It was like right off
Yes.
the cuff, hey, can you do something
Yep.
now? Sure, I'll get out there and do
You
something.
were on it. Yep.
And I did, and it worked. It worked for
Yeah.
that moment in that time. So I know that I have the ability to pull something up and just teach something according to the audience. And
Mm-hmm.
it took me a while to get to that point of
Mm,
feeling like, ooh, am I good enough? Am I not good enough? Am I going to be as good as them? Or am I going to be judged? That's the huge fear. We're going to be
yep.
judged, and we're going to be judged badly. And people are going to make fun of us, and people are going to put us down, and they're not going to accept us. And when they don't accept us, then we feel that we've been neglected or that we're rejected. The rejection is huge in our entire society, in all ages, in all brackets, in all professions. Rejection
Mm-hmm.
is a huge one. And you have to be able to take rejection and know that it wasn't you, it was them. It is
Yep.
their stuff. And that's a hard one to learn. It's a really hard lesson to learn. And so, being with the global, coming back to your question, with our global women, it's so much more enriching to be able to connect with women all over the world who are doing the same thing we are. We want a
Yep.
better life. We want better things for our families. We want to do the things we love, just like anybody else. And
Mm-hmm.
we want the freedom to do it.
Thank you for answering that. And I love how your work and what you do in self-defense for women really empowers them through this embodiment concept, feeling confident in their bodies. But it's interesting, and it's beautiful how that transfers to everything, to the mindset, to this self-judgment, imposter, all of those things, right? That's so closely connected.
Yeah,
So you doing that work is almost like parallel to what you're already doing in the through the physical exercises of it. Right. So I love that piece of the empowerment in your work that you do.
exactly.
Uh,
That's the other thing that I've learned. Like you said, what are the big lessons? One was that I don't have to follow the male dominant pattern or paradigm.
yeah.
The other one is that everything that we learn, we do is stored in the body. All of our emotions are stored in the body.
Hmm.
Emotions aren't stored up here.
Yeah.
These are the
Mm-hmm.
thoughts. The emotions are the drivers. They drive our body. And I've learned that over the years watching people and
Mm-hmm.
watching how they changed and how their whole demeanor changed about who they were when they started feeling that empowerment in the body. And I know
Right.
that because our emotions live there and our traumas and our crises all live in the body. When you get that out and you reprogram those muscles and you reprogram everything in your system for fighting and connect with that nervous system, then the nervous system and the brain work so much better for you because now you're getting the new messaging from the body into the brain saying, oh, yeah, I could do that. So through the
Right.
fitness workouts, they start feeling stronger. They
Yeah.
start feeling more balanced. They start feeling their bodies make changes and they feel that energy in their bodies. And then by learning the self-defense, they're learning how to really keep somebody from hurting them because our biggest fear is the fear of dying. Going out
Mm-hmm.
alone at night, what's the fear? I'm going to get raped, I'm going to get mugged, I'm going to get hurt, I'm going to get killed. That is the fear of women going out. What is the fear of going out at dark in your backyard? Ooh, maybe a wild animal. Or maybe some guy who just jumped over the fence. That fear is very, very raw in almost every single human being. So when
Mm-hmm.
we are able to feel the power and strength in our bodies, that fear goes way, way down and it will never disappear completely. I can be
Yeah.
taken apart and go, oh, what the, what was that? However, I know how to release immediately the freeze of what is that to, okay, breathe, what's going on, and immediately react to what's happening in the
Mm-hmm.
environment, which didn't used to be. I would freeze and just kind of like,
Yeah.
this is happening. No, wait, wait, wait. And
Mm-hmm.
now it's easy to just take in a deep breath and then respond to the situation that's going on. If I have
Mm-hmm.
time to take in the deep breath, I might have to move really quickly,
Yeah.
not have time to
Yeah.
think. And that was one of the things that Bruce Lee talked about years ago was that 90% of your training is mental, 10% is the physical.
Mm-hmm.
Because your brain is going to notice something through the nervous system. That is how we learn through the eyes. Everything goes into the body. And then when that reaction comes, it's bam, bam, bam. Wow, you're going to move really quickly. You're not going to have the time to think. You
Yep.
just have to move. And I know the concept works. I don't know if I told you this story or not. One day we were at Christie Field up in San Francisco, 4th of July, big party, bands going on all day long. Place was packed with people. There were balls being thrown everywhere and frisbees. And suddenly I was sitting down. I stood up really quickly and I put my hand up and I caught a frisbee that would have hit me right in the eye.
Mm.
And people around me just kind of went, whoa, my God, that was awesome. Oh my God, oh my God. And I was shocked too. I shocked myself because I saw it out of the corner of my eye. My
Wow.
peripheral vision caught it. I stood up and just grabbed and caught it. And it was, I just went, oh my God, that was my training. That's
Yeah.
the training that give me that kind of really quick fire reactions to
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
when that red light goes on. That was a red light. And
Mm-hmm.
I trained people, especially in the workshops, I trained the women about red lights, red lights, red lights. And in the
Mm-hmm.
martial arts, there was always commands like go, go, or one, two. And that was because on that voice, we were being trained to react immediately. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the red flags. You train your body to not even think, to just move, move, move. So by having that training, I'm able to help women now just learn self-defense without having to go through the martial arts and the belts and the uniforms and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
more proper stuff that you do in a traditional martial arts studio, which I used to be. I just transitioned out of that and chose not to run that program anymore, but instead take the material and teach women the material and how
Hmm.
to, yeah, empower
Yeah.
their bodies.
Yeah, that's great. That's great story. You haven't told me that story. No, that's great, and it's a great example of that reaction that the trained mind has. But it's also how we see and feel things, right? We know our body knows. So just reacting to yeah. So I love that. Thank you for sharing that. I want to move us to the rapid fire questions as the final section of our conversation today.
I'm ready.
Awesome. The first question is your favorite book name is
The Mists of Avalon.
mm.
Oh my God, it's about that thick. The type is like this. Took me a while to get through it, but it's all about the empowered women way back centuries ago when the women ruled. It's
Beautiful.
amazing.
Oh, I have to check
Amazing
that
book.
out. I don't think
Yeah,
I don't think
it's
I
a
read that.
really good book.
Okay. Awesome. Beach or mountains?
I love them both. I cannot choose. I love sailing. I live in the mountains, as you might be able to tell. I love living among the trees, the redwoods I've got around me. I also love the ocean and the smell. So I couldn't say
Mm.
one is more than the other. I
Yeah.
love them both.
Favorite destination, international destination to visit?
Uh, I haven't been to a lot, but the ones I have been to, I would go back to Italy for sure.
Italy, I need to check out. I've been
Oh
hearing a
my
lot of
God. I would
Italy.
so go back there anytime.
Okay, so my next one is summer or winter?
A summer.
Hmm.
Most definitely. I've been loving our heat. I hate being cold. I love the snow and being dressed warmly, but there's always a part of me, either my fingers or my toes or
Yeah.
something that's cold all the time. I hate being cold. So definitely summertime.
Hmm. And my final question is things that you have discovered about yourself recently.
The power within me, no matter what is put in front of me, there's a power within me
Hmm.
that knows the answer for me. I just have to sometimes sit with it and just let my body feel it. But there's a
Hmm.
power within me that can give me what I want and what I need.
I love that. Well, thank you for sharing. Thank you for playing. Thank you for this conversation.
Well, thank you for
Again,
having me.
yes, thank you, Clara. We will be posting links on how to connect with Clara on our YouTube channel or our podcast. And this has been Empowered Global Women in Business podcast. And we will see you all soon. Thank you so much,
All right.
Clara.
Thank you.